Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Monday evening on the Rock, Reflections from Covenant here in Rochester, New York. We're continuing our series of conversations with people connected with Covenant who have things they want to share about the spiritual life or about scripture or about their own experience of God, church, whatever. We started out with a really narrow focus of what's your favorite scripture, and then it's just kind of blossomed from there. So today we have with us Bunny Avery, and we are so glad because she has been willing to say a little bit something about her life and her experience. So let's start out by also giving you another piece of background that we really believe that the Spirit of God is at work in people's lives, but also in synchronicities that happen. And today we had I had 3 different conversations about a particular text in the Bible, and it turns out that that's one of the places that Bunny wants to kick off with. So tell us your story.
I truly believe, so going back to that text, it was Micah text, which we talked about in church today. It was love kindness, walk humbly with our God. So how could I share my story and walk humbly? How do I reconcile that, right? And the only way to do that is to know that it's not actually my story. It's his story.
God's
he transformed me. It's all about what
transformation,
he did.
The story of what we're being called to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
So he just opened so many doors in my life. I grew up in a small town, 500 square foot home, 3 rooms total.
Mm-hmm.
It was the bathroom, the living room, which was also the bedroom, and the kitchen. That was it. There was no privacy whatsoever.
Wow. How many people in your family?
There was only 3 of us. 2 TVs constantly going. Very different.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually the path I would have been on would have been very different to the path that he called me to. And he just put so many loving people in my life to nurture me, to feed me, to literally give me food. Literally give me food.
Yeah. So you were growing up in a kind of a poverty environment.
Yeah. Yep. Meager beginnings for sure.
But there aren't just beginnings. There's more to come.
Yeah, he called me to so much. And we weren't a family that went to church, but I would still pray. I would pray that he would come and he would help my mom and I, that we would have a different life. And that's what he did. So there was a church that popped up within walking distance around the corner. So I took my little feet over there. I checked it out. Big Pentecostal church. Here I am waving ribbons and worshiping. Pentecostal, they do the laying of hands at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So
very healing.
Yes, yeah. So I would often go up and do that. And someone told me, now I hadn't told anyone my dreams, right? Because here I am, this person that education is not normal for us. Really, very few people in the whole town go to college at that time. My family, high school isn't even important in my family. But I wanted that education. I wanted something different. So the person laid their hands and they said, you want to be a doctor. Whoa. I never told anyone that. Never. Ever, ever, ever. You want to be a doctor. God will give you the funding.
Wow.
So I walked away and I was like, how could, what? No one knew that.
Nobody knew that.
No one knew that. Because it was just
because it was
audacious dream of mine, right? Like, how dare you even think about that? You don't have the resources for that. And here it is. So now it's laid out. He's going to make it happen somehow.
How old are you at this point? You're in high school?
I'm in high school. 14, 15. Maybe even a little younger, actually. So he plots out that path, makes it work. Now, it ends up working a little differently, right? Like, I'm not a pediatrician, like I thought.
But you're still a healer, right?
I'm a doctor of physical therapy, so it's a clinical doctorate, and he's absolutely at work with what I do. You know, I actually pray before each patient that he would guide my hands and feet, guide me what to do to help them. And I usually see that happening in that interaction with each person that I work with. So it's just absolutely amazing. And he's put so many people in my life to just interact with, to nurture, and to guide me on that path to keep me safe and to keep me going on the path that he had set before me that I couldn't even believe.
So that walking is a great image for being on a path. I mean, that walking humbly, then never mind the humble bit, humble beginnings, you know, but just the walking, the image of a path that you keep getting people put in the right place in the right time.
Yes, just absolute angels, just really good friends that have guided me so well.
Yeah.
And have loved me.
And how did you end up, I'm just curious, how did you end up at Covenant?
So we were going to a different church, and then during COVID times, the church closed. So we took that as an opportunity to kind of look at different churches. We did a lot of the online worshiping.
Right.
And we just really appreciated your sermons and the church here. There's also, you know, they talked about today about reaching out to the community.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we do here is the sale.
Mm.
And it gets opened up to the community.
Yes.
So I came and I met people, and they were just so loving. They prayed with us for our family. So yeah, it was just absolutely great.
One of the things that drew me to this church as well, because it's really, was the sale. The one experience I had coming to a sale where everything, other sales I've been involved in, everything is priced to get maximum bang for your buck. And at here, it was priced to sell. And in this neighborhood, price to sell is very different from other places. And so, yeah, that was my kind of attraction too. And again, that whole image of God working through people, through a rummage sale, for goodness sake.
Absolutely. You know? Just to be able to connect with someone authentically, going back to that, and to feel their love just with a simple prayer. It was so wonderful. So we knew pretty much from there that we were going to come.
Funny, that was just wonderful. Thank you. I love this whole thing about it's not my story. It's God's story. And that does help me personally to remind, because we get all hung up on what we're doing, right or wrong, or what's going right for us or what's going wrong for us. But if we see ourselves as in somebody's big story, I love that imagery. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week on Monday. But before that, join us on Wednesday and Friday for evening prayer here on Facebook at 7 o'clock. Good night.